interview with radio host Hugh Hewitt, Trump doubled down on his statements made last week regarding American-born hostages held captive by Hamas.
Mr. President, when you said they'll be held to pay if the Americans are still being held hostage, what did you mean?
Exactly what it says. If those hostages aren't released by the time I get to office, they will be held to pay. I don't think I have to go into it anyway. It won't be the word don't. You know, I heard the word don't. You can add that into it, but that would just be a small part of it. No, they will be held to pay.
Well, it seems Hamas is getting the message, at least publicly, as it has committed to releasing the names of the 34 remaining hostages to be freed, hostages taken over 15 months ago. This would include 7 Americans, 4 at least our intelligence have evidence to believe are indeed alive. This would include, of course, a ceasefire deal following the release of the hostages. Israel is stating that this list and intention is completely meaningless, stating that this list of hostages is just their current list from July and nothing more. Will this war indeed end in fear of the wrath of Trump? Trump has stated that he is the best friend that Israel has ever had in the White House, but that he also wants peace. Joining us now is Gabriel Noronha, former State Department advisor on Iran. Welcome back, Gabe.
Thanks, Chanel. Always a pleasure.
You predict that there will be indeed a ceasefire or any new developments. What do you see happening by January 20 on this matter?
Well, this threat has actually worked very well. There are negotiations. It's always very tricky. I think I was on the show from the early days after October 7th and said this would not be easy, and it is not, and it will not be easy. But what this is doing is telling Hamas leaders that if they aren't willing to come to a deal, there are consequences for them. And so in the last 15 months, Hamas leaders have been living in Qatar. They've moved recently to Turkey, but they've been okay living abroad. I think they understand that era is going to come to an end soon if they don't make an agreement shortly to free those hostages.
So how is Hamas funding itself at this moment? There's so much attention in the area. How is it funding all of its activities right now?
Well, they are certainly on life support. They were getting, before October 7th, they were getting money from Qatar, indirectly from Israel and others. Right. And then, of course, most importantly, from the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, thanks to new measures, a lot of those have dried up. But Hamas is still doing recruiting and fundraising, largely using cryptocurrency, actually, to try to bypass all those restrictions, try to get humanitarian aid, which they can sell in the black market, to refill their coffers. But all of this is still a pittance compared to where they were pre-October 7th, but it's enough that they can use to try to keep their war machine alive. They are just a small shadow of their former selves, but that's enough for them to make Israel's life miserable and to try to keep attacking civilians in Israel as long as there is not a deal in place.
You know, there were so many clear reactions to the news that Trump was going to be the 47th president from around the world, but most notably, the Middle East reacted in ways that I think surprised a lot of people. From your vantage, having studied this area for so long, having experience on the ground out there, I mean, what surprised you the most in how these actors associated with Hamas, Iran, what surprised you the most in how they reacted to the idea that Trump is going to be their next president of the United States?
Well, I can say the Iranian regime was deeply, deeply unhappy because they knew that their racket was over.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.